Okay.
to do that.
You're good.
Oh. If I talk, which microphone I use?
I have a handheld one over there.
Oh, okay. Is that charged? Fully charged?
It runs on battery.
I don't care if y'all don't pray, we about to pray.
No, the battery can be half used or
If I got
television. I see it.
No,
I know. Well, I tested it and it works for now.
They making me. So they're making me. I think you're going to be excellent.
I think so too.
Yeah, pump me up, hype me up. I'm not on the public speaking.
Oh, you're good.
You've been on this one? Good evening, everyone. Let's call our meeting to order. We are here for our police training meeting, committee meeting, at Perkins 3631 at our office. Today is, August the 18th of 2025, and we're starting at 6 o'clock, 6:04 actually. All right, so election of chair. You can see that on there. All right, so we're gonna.
I nominate Ted Miller, Commissioner Miller.
I'll second that.
All right, so it looks like I will be chairing this committee by default. Okay, let's put it to vote.
Aye.
We gotta do this right.
Yeah, you have to vote.
Oh, I abstain. All right, so it looks like Commissioner Miller will be chairing this committee, and I would love for you both to help me or use your expertise because awesome. This will broaden, my public speaking. I do appreciate you. All right, let's get a roll call. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the public. Thank you, Lou, for joining us and everyone at home. Roll call. Commissioner Mason.
Here.
Commissioner Cheryl.
Here.
And Commissioner Miller is here. We are all present. Thank you. All right, I would like to call adoption of the agenda.
I like to,
Everyone's looked at it. We're okay.
yeah. Motion for the agenda, this agenda for the training commissioner on Monday, August the 18th agenda. Second.
All right, I do have some couple of things that I do want to add to the agenda, but I'll just put them in there as we go. So thank you for that, everyone. I'm going to ask that someone read the meeting decorum for me. It will be recorded moving forward. Thank you.
Commissioner should read it now. Okay, I'm sorry.
Can we read it?
Please, thank you.
This meeting of the Cleveland Community Police Commission is a lawful meeting. Under section 605.04 of the codified ordinances, no person with purpose to prevent or disrupt the lawful meeting shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak in accordance with the public comment rules. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn and or making loud utterances that interferes with the due conduct of this lawful meeting may constitute a misdemeanor and a violation of section 605.04. If this meeting is disrupted, the chair will call for a recess and the room will be cleared. Persons who violate the city ordinances and commit misdemeanors may be subject to prosecution. When this body is able to return from recess, then, in compliance with Ohio's Open Meeting Act, and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances, the meeting will be open to the public.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Co-Chair Adams, for reading that meeting decorum for us. It looks like now we're going to go down to our public comment. It looks like we have Lou for public comment. Please step up to you or the camera and use the mic.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad that our agenda here will be a good thing for us to pay attention to is about the wellness CIT. I have been a former member of MRAC, and that's why I'm the kind of the liaison at the CCPC here, talking about the training. MRAC itself was formed also under consent decree, and the purpose. It's blinking.
I don't know what's wrong with it. You're just. I don't. Maybe. You'll just have to stand up there.
No, I have no problem with staying
Okay.
anywhere.
Okay. You don't have a problem because your voice.
No, because the issue is about the live stream.
They can hear you.
Oh, they can hear me?
Yeah, they can hear
All
you.
right. So but the consent decree itself at the time when it established different entities, none of them was determined they will be permanent or not. At least this commission will become permanent after each 24. MRAC itself has not. But the thing is, this particular entity already started a lot of the work with the CIT and also the training of it. So we have been heavily, vigorously established all kinds of training based on officers' input as well. And also we will give them our ideas too. So the wellness training is one of the newer one, and I wish to have all your support. And also we have been trying to strengthen the trainings to dispatchers, which is important because a lot of times if a dispatcher cannot make a very good guess of the nature of this call, then the wrong department may be deported, which is the waste of public resources. And for the people with a mental health issue or domestic violence, all those kind of situations, do they really need a police officer to be on at the very beginning? No, they actually do not need that. So the other thing is now we know we have been promoting 9AA for mental health calls. But all these things, they have to get connected well, and this is the reason why I will suggest that for you guys here, make sure all the agenda items you will receive, all the details, you have to really read them through and make sure you give your best possible input to see. For example, when we evaluate them, we will say some of them may be too lengthy, some of them maybe the slide itself is not easy for people to read. Because when officers, they have to sit through trainings, you have to consider their condition. You do not want them to be like a hypnotized. You do not want them to get it that. You want them to be able to have an interaction in their training. So these are lots of the things we look at. Previously, when this committee was led by former Commissioner Donaldson, we also have conducted some real events in the community, and I wish you guys can start making them like every 6 months, spring and fall. In that case, the weather condition will be good for community member to come to the event to see how our police officers are trained. One thing important is, please make sure we can connect the training with the police force. to the very well-designed training they already have received in the academy. So we don't want to have a gap. We don't want them to get a good training in the academy, but later they do not really get a good follow-up when they become officers. Because every day, the way they work is very stressful, but we want them to have the best training possible. But this is to help them, to encourage them, to rejuvenate them, not to stress them out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lou, for that. Just for the public, I did let her go a little over, so she's the only one here, and she had a great point, so. All right, let's move on to our new business. So we were given training by Commander Hernandez and Dr. Lee to review for this upcoming month that need to be reviewed. We did divide them up into three. We had the CPOP, the Wellness CIT training, which is the Crisis Intervention Training, and Reality Based. I took on CPOP, Commissioner Adams took on the Wellness, and Reality Based was Commissioner Mason. Sorry. So let's start with the CPOP. So, I didn't even notice that. All right, so for the CPOP training, it was a great layout of the scenarios, and it was well structured. It was clear problem solving statements. It was structured really well, was balanced perspective, and was relevant questions. The scenarios were good. We were given 3 scenarios, and they basically had the purpose of this was to understand the principle of community problem-oriented policing with the Cleveland Police Division of Police. So it was to help you understand and be able to differentiate, I can't say it, between community engagement and the community problem-oriented policing interactions. So they gave us 3 scenarios on top of the learning aids, and they were all really good, some scenarios that were given out. They were all, hands-on and really well, but the one issue that I saw was really wordy and a shorter paragraphs. That's all the findings that I found on mine. It was a lot of trainings that we had to split them up because one commissioner couldn't get through them all. So the CPOP was really well. I will recommend moving it forward, but also have some recommendations of making it less wordy in the future. Wellness. Crisis intervention training. Would you want us to come back to that one since you're typing?
What would you like? Did you want me to
Just give your feedback. How did you feel about the wellness CIT training? The overview of
To the chair. So I think overall, so basically this training is about sort of what they call officer wellness. So it defines 7 areas where they would want officers to be healthy, I guess. So the 7 are physical wellness. We call them the 7 dimensions: physical wellness, emotional wellness, social wellness, intellectual wellness, occupational wellness, spiritual wellness, and financial wellness. My comments in looking at this, I think that there are some ways that I would sort of want to restructure the training a little bit. Oftentimes what I'm saying is, like, for example, the training starts discussing wellness, but before it actually defines it. So there are some structural things here. I also have noticed as going through the training that what the training also does is, I'm an educator, so we have a lesson plan that comes with this, and then there's a PowerPoint that goes with it. But oftentimes what is happening is that I feel like what I'm seeing with the training is that it is making lots of statements to the officers, but the training isn't going the next step is what you would do as an educator, which is like you would want them to make some type of connection to what the information you're giving them is to what their actual real experiences are as officers. So I just sort of making some suggestions about that. And I'm just looking at my comments here. And then I also think that somehow in sort of like that reflective thing, I think the things that are being discussed are definitely they're good things for officers to be thinking about considering the stress of their job and the demands of the job. But I think what is lacking is that you kind of want the officer to reflect on like if I'm going to focus on my just use the simplest one for everyone to understand, which is physical wellness. By me focusing on my physical wellness and making sure that is a part of like my daily the life that I'm living, then how is that beneficial to me, right? How does social wellness, right? And one of the ones that they talk about, I'm wondering, they talk about mostly like um, the most personal parts of officers' lives, but as far as I think about it, if officers they're interacting with people on a daily basis, they're socializing with people that are not their families or their coworkers on a daily basis. So my one of my questions was, should we consider community members to be a part of the social wellness that officers need to go through? So I just have like a some questions um, as we go through uh, the training like for example, some of them are just very. I think they're very matter of fact and kind of presumptive, and I feel that some of these concepts that are in the training need to be flushed out better. Some of them are like very vague, um, and sometimes when you're not specific enough, if we're all in a room and I talk about spiritual wellness and I'm not specific about what I mean by that, we could all be sitting around the table thinking about something completely different about what spiritual wellness means to us. So those are like some things that I noticed. The what also makes me curious about this training, and I would want to get the answers from Commander Hernandez, is what sources are used to create this training. There are no sources that says um, this is where we got the information from. And I feel like as we review these trainings, it is useful to know the source of the information. And so that's something I keep noting as reviewing is that I would like to know what the source is of the information. I think it's important that we know what type of materials are being consulted in the information that we're going to be training officers on. So those are just some of my comments um, from looking at, like, for example, like the occupational wellness. That's one of the seven wellnesses that they talk about in the training. And so one of the places it asks about, it's like, do you still have the same level of job satisfaction that you had at the beginning of your career, right? And then the next question is, what can be done to increase job satisfaction, right? But I'm like, but we need to know what's actually contributed to the decline of job satisfaction. Are the factors internal? Are they external? Is it a little bit of both? Um, so it's like things like that are like it's like as I'm reading through, everything feels like it's existing on its own separate island, and we're not connecting the physical piece to the emotional piece, to the spiritual piece, to the occupational piece. And it feels like it's like a checklist. Next wellness, and I feel like even though they may not, I feel like all of this is connected, right? And I feel like the training is lacking that. That these things are kind of, this feels like just let me just give you this information so we can say we gave it to you. But I think it could be better. I think it needs to be better for them because this is important ways that officers need to be self-aware of like what is happening to them as they're you know, witnessing the things that they witness and experiencing the things that they're experiencing, and like as they walk into sometimes dangerous situations. And I know that I mean, there has to be a lot of anxiety. There has to be some fear. There's got to be a lot going on inside of them. So I just feel like this training is kind of lacking some of that, and I would like it to be stronger for the officers because it is important that they're sort of able to recognize what is happening to them sometimes in real time. So that would be, the overall feedback that I would have on this training reviewing it.
Thank you for that, feedback for that. I'm gonna go to Commissioner Mason and then I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay. John, about the findings of everything. So let's go to Commissioner Mason for reality based.
Hi, you all know I am I'm a component of reality-based or scenario-based. And for me, I think if an officer is gonna go through the training, they need to understand it, and the only way they can understand it, not by just reading it, but they gotta be able to do a hands-on. And, I am very much into that hands-on practice. At least it gives you an idea, a base, how to start. It may not give you the full understanding, but it'll give you a base on how to work your way through it. And so the reality base, it was good, but it was some questions that I had. One, I know part of it is going to be, they're going to be watching desktop, and then they're supposed to do hands-on. I want to know what was the location in which they were going to be doing the hands-on training. It didn't say, and I just like to know. So know the facility which they're going to be using to do these hands-on training. The other one was, as you said, about where did they get it? Was this a state-based lesson plan, or was this something that they came up with, sat down, thought out, put scenarios together from actual experience? Just some questions I was thinking about, or, as I was looking at the video. I like how they're going to be breaking up the teams. They're going to have a set of 4 teams, and each team will have 4 officers for a group of 24. I don't know if that's going to be per day. I just didn't know how that setup was going to be. They're going to break it down. They're going to be doing, let me see. Some of the topics they're going to be dealing with is de-escalation, use of force, great. They're going to go back to using the 4 pillars of procedural justice, excellent. They need to understand that, especially the new guys coming in. Treating people with respect and dignity, giving people opportunity to speak. Instead of just walking up on a situation, they're going to find out exactly what's going on, what is the cause, what is their concern, instead of just reacting. And then showing goodwill and trustworthy to their resident or to the person that they will be approaching for whatever. I mean, sometimes the situation is not going to allow you to do it, but on a whole, about 10% of the time, it's about basic communication. So that is a good one. The one question I did have, and I think I asked earlier, I didn't understand what is bias-free tactics. I'm not, if someone could tell me what it is, I would be.
I think it goes along the lines of bias-free policing.
Okay. Okay, I just.
In itself, just not going into a situation assuming something. But you take all aspects of it before you make a decision.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to pass judgment on what my thought would have been, but I just wanted to get the full understanding.
It's part of our training. But I don't know.
Okay.
Just going off the top of my head, that's what is embedded in me. It's saying,
Thank you.
It's just a way of going into something, not just, oh, I'm going to do this in this situation, and be police in other situations. So then you just need to practice in that. see what they're coming from. If the instance lets you, if you're in just a time where someone just needs to talk to someone instead of being a police officer.
And it goes back to what you were saying about of the different areas that they're going to be training in, and that was get the facts, understand the situation. Okay, so I just want
To your previous question about location, most of our training has been being conducted at the range right now.
down on 58.
Yes, at the mentioning that's where we've been doing this.
Don't you also go to South High School?
And we could also go to South Africa.
Yes, I was gonna tell you that.
Thank you.
Your name and
I'm Sergeant Grasha. Grasha?
Grasha?
Yes.
thank you, Sergeant Grasher.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And explaining it to me.
I wasn't 100% sure where the location was from. It wasn't posted by the one. And I had all trouble getting it.
We're glad you made it. Thank you.
Sure.
What?
In response to your question, Commissioner Mason, I would agree wholeheartedly with Sergeant. Bias-free tactics is sort of a subcomponent of bias-free policing, and it's to ensure that you don't go into a situation presuming that certain tactics may or may not work based upon an individual's demographic membership or not being within that membership. So it's a component of bias-free policing in a sense.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And they had 4 great videos, scenario videos. And one of them was dealing with the situation in LA, dealing with the beanbag and not arresting. It was excellent because they really used a lot of patience and trying to get that person to surrender before they took them. And they did not go from approaching to deadly force. They went through so many different scenarios, which was really good. They also have a situation that a video body cam actually from Florida, and it was if your superior is doing something wrong, do you intervene? And that was a good topic that they needed to go through. And then they also talked about duty to intervene, and they the last video was a situation in Elyria with the officer and a girlfriend getting evicted from her boyfriend's house, and it was a good scenario. What do you do? What do the officer? The steps that the officer will talk to the complaining about and how to walk them through the situation. So there are a lot of good videos that they were that the officers will be going through or reviewing. So I'm with this hands-on piece.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason, for that. So it sounds like they did really well with their scenarios. Let me just go back and piggyback on the scenarios that were for the CPOP police, for the policing portion. It was basically issues with impacts of traffic issues, impacts by burglars, and then basically, like I said, telling the difference between the community engagement and the actual, community policing part. So yeah, we had a lot of great scenarios that were given. They also did a 4-hour training inside the classroom before it was a podium and, PowerPoint, a lecture and small group structure with video. And then they went on to the 3 scenarios. Going to give this to Shura for the half. Okay, Commission, Co-Chair Adams, for you. This was my question. Because we do have concerns and we're so close to the September deadline, how do we proceed with this? 1 second, I'm sorry. And we were hoping to vote on it to be passed by the full commission at the next meeting next week, because it has to go from us to the, other departments for approval, and they want to roll this out in September.
I understand that they would like to roll this out in September, but I don't think this training's ready. I think I would want to know what the sources are for the information. We should know where the information is coming from that we're using to train our officers with. I also think that there's too much ambiguity or vagueness in certain parts of the training. I think it's a valuable training, but I think it needs to be tightened up. I do. I get what they're trying to do with it. I'm not sold on the execution in what we currently have.
Chair.
As one point of clarification, the CDP can still roll out the training. It's just a matter of whether they can receive credit through the consent decree process. So if this body determines that there's not enough information right now to either approve or reject the training materials, there's nothing to preclude the CDP from still moving forward with those materials, offering the training, just not getting the credit in the time that they would like.
Chair.
Yes.
Question, okay, so if they are able to answer our questions in writing, would that satisfy you?
And would they have to be before September, or would, make the adjustments along the way? Is that, like, if this don't get done to October, they plan on running out, rolling it out September, but don't give us the changes till October?
I mean, I think we just we have a full commission meeting on the 27th, I believe. There's always an option to kind of do what we just did last week. Like, we could meet, we could send out, our feedback. If it's that important that it needs passage from us by September 1st, we would request, give them a deadline to return the feedback. We could meet before the next meeting, and then we could bring it to the full commission.
Special meeting.
Yeah, we can work with them, but I don't think that this is ready. I think it could be better for the officers.
I agree. I just didn't know what it meant for the officers.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off that, there is always the option, assuming that we can provide them sort of certain information that we would like to see before approving it, and they can implement that. There is the option to ratify the training, which would be sort of an after the fact approval, but you'd want to ensure that that training occurs, based upon the concerns and feedback that this committee has.
So that they can get that credit.
Correct.
Commissioner Chura, did you want to add something?
Yes, to the chair. I don't think it'd be a big problem finding out where they're, getting the mandates to do the training. There's, the Ohio Police Officer Training Association has subjects that are necessary that they have to complete. I think you guys do it online now. Every agency usually has they'll have a whole thing online that they do, and a lot of it overlaps with 4 pillars, a lot of different things that they'll cover. I don't think it'd be hard to find what their sources are. And maybe some of it might be vague, but maybe they could explain it a little bit and make it a little clearer, I would think. But some of it's mandated by law. So.
Chair.
Yes.
And those items that I talked about, that de-escalation, use of force, the 4 pillars, all of that is actually under the state. Per year, the Ohio Attorney General, in order to maintain your certification, you must take these classes. Failure to take the classes, you can lose your certification. So a lot of this stuff that they will be looking at is per the state. I just need to know that is where they're getting it from. It's just to confirm it, that's all.
Okay.
So I think we can probably get that. I think they're usually pretty good about letting us know if something's state mandated or not. So I'm sure we can get clarification on that.
You had a lot of other concerns as well, excuse me, so,
Yeah.
So maybe we can get, our notes together and pull them together, and that way we can email them first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And see their response to our concerns.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
And then maybe at the, I don't know where we will put another special meeting.
My
Considering-
thinking would be if we,
Today is the 18th, just to
So I was thinking if we could, if our meetings are at 6, we could just meet beforehand like we just did with the rules committee
I get off at 6.
on that day.
Yeah.
So as we can figure it out. That's
You
something
know
that
what?
we
I'm
can
sorry.
figure
No,
out.
I don't. We could do 6. No, 5:30
So we'll have to figure, we can figure out a time.
or 5.
What's that?
Give us an
Will
hour.
5 work? Good, what you think?
What day? August?
That will be the 27th of August, yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully we can get our feedback
That's
from
right.
them by
And
then.
remember, I don't have to be present, so you guys can work your schedules out because you are the committee. I'm just here supporting your committee. But as long as you 3 are present, that's what's important. That you shouldn't work around whatever my schedule is.
Okay. So we're gonna put a pin in for before our meeting on the 27th, depending on their response and getting back to us with this information. Because if they don't get back to us, then, what will we be having a meeting for? If that makes sense. Okay. So I just ask that we all compile our notes and give it to me by tomorrow, hopefully, or in the morning. And that way I can, perfect. And then that way I'll reach out to Commander Hernandez and Dr. Lee and see, their responses.
Yeah.
Did anyone else want to add to this about the trainings, Commissioner Chira? Is there any concerns that we can voice on your behalf in this
No, not at this time.
correspondence? Everything okay? You okay? You want to move on? Everyone's good? All right. So next thing I want to bring to order is let me see. Oh, meeting date. We were going to see about when are we actually going to meet for the committee, because I believe that date didn't work for currently. Yes. Okay. Does anyone have any suggestions on what days they cannot do? Or what is best for them?
I would like to suggest Tuesdays, and if there's a holiday on a Monday, we don't have to worry about. We can enjoy the weekend and do whatever we want to do. Like Tuesdays, we take care of business.
So far it's on Tuesdays, and that's the day that wasn't working for me, but if it worked for everyone else, I'm with it. I can make it work. Tuesdays, want to keep it the same? So it was let me see, which Tuesday?
I'm flexible too.
Is it that particular Tuesday? I think you guys.
Every Tuesday, I have a commitment to my grandchildren after school. But work comes first. You have grandchildren? 7. Okay, so y'all want to do the first week of the month or the second? Right now it's at the first week of the month.
You can't do the second Wednesday of every month as policy.
Thank you for that, for chiming in. So it'd have to be the first. All right, so if we want to put a motion,
First Wednesday,
yes.
so it'd be September 3rd.
Yes.
First.
Anybody want to put a motion?
Make a motion to have our meeting.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Second.
I don't see anything.
All right, it looks like that the training committee will be meeting the first. Who all in favor? Aye. Aye, Swin. It looks like we're gonna be meeting the first Wednesday of every month. For the record, we are moving from Tuesday, the first Tuesday every month, to the first Wednesday of every month. All right,
6 p.m.
6 p.m. I'm sorry, that's the only time that I know.
I was gonna say, the grandkids.
The whole-
The grandkids.
Oh. We on mic and on TV. Oh, thank you. All right, I also want to bring forward a commission, actually, Commissioner Mason did the lead, headed basically Tri-C has a simulator that basically gives real life scenarios. It's a village that basically see how officers are responding to real life scenarios. It was a green screen. It was awesome. I was in a bank robbery. I didn't know what to do. It just put you in. And I think Commissioner Emo, not going to try it. He also attended as well. So thank you for setting that up. And we thought that it would be great for everyone on the commission to go experience that. So that way they'll know what our officers are experiencing and why the CTI and the reality-based training and all the trainings are so important. Because you can learn everything on paper, but when you're in a real life situation, it's a whole different story. So we are going to be bringing that we should hear from them on Monday. Thank you for leading that again. And then hopefully we'll hear something and we can bring it to the full commission next week and see who's all interested. He's going to give us several dates, and then, you know what, I think we'll just touch on it for updates and then send out an email to see what's best for everyone so we can pool and see, you know, what days we can go out there. It'll be 3 things. It's the village, the green room, and the 3D simulator. Yes, all was awesome. So yeah. So that was great experience that I think we all should experience, but it will be optional for our commissioners.
And we also set it up for office staff also.
Office staff as well. Woo-hoo.
I got a question for Sergeant Gratian. Do we still do that at the range, at our range? The scenario based with the, you know, with the screen and the actors coming out and.
It's been a few years, but we haven't.
Pardon me?
It's been a few years.
Okay. I think it's a great idea that every commissioner go through it. And I think also with Cleveland's use of force, I think if we have time, if we could arrange it with Sergeant Campbell to go down to the range and see the different firearms that are used, non-lethal, the beanbag shotgun, maybe even, you know, see if you could get a target, especially under stress. And also use of force with our gymnasium staff too. I would think maybe go out and participate and see how difficult it might be to arrest somebody the size of Lou in certain situations. But we have to work that out. I think with only a certain amount of commissioners to be able to go at a time. But I would like to see something like that. You know.
Please, where was that? Where is this one at? Where's that training at? That's not the one that at the.
Oh, it's at the Cleveland range with actual firearms. Like the Sarge said, we spend like 2 days down there at least usually. Shotgun qualification and pistol qualification, the taser qualifications held down there, and you can also see the different safety procedures that they use. I know we had some questions on that before. I think it'd be a good experience for everybody on the commission. Yeah, they'll do traffic stops and building searches, whatever you want to do.
So I think you all would actually understand what the officers, you'll understand more of what the officers are experiencing out there, what they go through.
High stress.
And yes, definitely how stressful it is. And if we're going to sit here and talk about their job and evaluate, we should understand some of the things that they are experiencing out there. So,
I agree.
I think that's a great opportunity for us to get the full gist of what they do.
And also you get the buy-in, I think, more from the officers too, that you have some idea of what they go through on a daily basis.
Yeah, compassion towards their job. I agree. Only thing I don't want to do is the taser again or get maced. I did that in the academy. That was no joke. But I'll do everything else. Can I? Yeah.
Yes. At one point, we used to have to do it.
I went through Brinkley Institute. I went through Brinkley Institute and we had to do that. It was not fun. Oh, it burned and hurt. Can I, Commissioner Chair, can I ask you to lead that as far as getting us, you know, maybe set up, and since you know them, and maybe getting us some dates?
Sure, I could look into that and talk with the command staff, the chiefs, and see if we can get that to go down the chain to the range.
It ain't about what you know, it's who you know. Thank you for that. All right, I think that'll be awesome for everyone to take part of and basically see how stressful, stressful situations that our officer in that split second, it takes. And then, how they react to different scenarios. I agree. Is there anything else that we need to bring to order? All right. I'd like to adjourn this meeting. And thank you for coming. Until next time, love each other and yourself. Bye.
Good job.
Hey,